On the way, son of Gary on the way, son of Gary on the way, son of Gary on the way. Mercy, 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 mercy. Yeah, yeah. Nothing left to say but mercy, mercy. Woke up this morning screaming mercy, mercy. God cover cover like mercy, mercy. Mercy, mercy. Mercy, mercy. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing left to say but mercy, mercy. Woke up this morning screaming mercy, mercy. God cover like mercy, mercy. Yeah. Those who did me dirty, dog, mercy, mercy. Rich in spirit, but I live broken. Yeah. The last rich in spirit, but I live broken. Yeah. The last rich in spirit, but I live broken. Yeah. The last moments in my life I count them as the mercy, mercy, mercy. Yeah. Yeah. Rich in spirit, but I live broken. Yeah. The last moments in my life I count them as the coldest. Learn to navigate through pain, but still keep my focus. I endured heavy shots, but never see me folding. I'm up early, finding all my strength in the devotion. Before the amen leaves my lips, I hit the steps from roaches. On the verge of giving up, do they really notice? No one ever cares about the screams from the soldiers. So rose-colored glasses, but they slanted. Good-hearted folks, people tend to take advantage. Saying once to praise you, close the door and load the cannon. Plotting your demise, they wonder why you from this planet. Man, I feel alone, I don't know which way to turn. Strongest in my circle, when I'm weak, no one's concerned. Maybe I should fade the black and let the vision burn. Lord, forgive my unbelief and please accept these words. Like, Lord, forgive me for all that I've done, but I'm back now. Lord, forgive me for all that I've done, but I'm back now. Lord, forgive me for all. Lord, forgive me for all. Lord, forgive me for all that I've done, but I'm back now. Nothing left to say but mercy, 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 mercy. Woke up this morning screaming mercy, mercy. God cover like mercy, 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 mercy. Those who did me dirty, dog, mercy, 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 mercy. Nothing left to say but mercy, 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 mercy. Woke up this morning screaming mercy, 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 mercy. God cover like mercy, 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 mercy. Those who did me dirty, dog, mercy, mercy. I made a change, knee deep in the sin. Ghetto gospel now, each verse leading the hymn. 1-6 straight chips, but I'm back in the gym. Ain't no way to stop the kid, quit reviewing the film. Wait, who got it? You got it, I got him again. They following trends, end up in this bottomless pit. You got it with me, worth the pagan Lee, I'm a gift. I'll be giving them glory while I'm swinging the pen. Look, my thoughts were impure, I live insecure, but I'm fighting. My sight was a blur in search of a cure, cause I'm dying. Always a pull to run through the door, but I'm tired. The only reward is one that he calling me righteous. That's my one request, don't get it twisted. Nothing left to say but mercy, 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 mercy. Woke up this morning screaming mercy, 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 mercy. God cover like mercy, 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 mercy. Those who did me dirty, dog, mercy, 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 mercy. Nothing left to say but mercy, 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 mercy. Woke up this morning screaming mercy, 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 mercy. God cover like mercy, 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 mercy. Those who did me dirty, dog, mercy, mercy. Nothing left to say but mercy, 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 mercy. Woke up this morning screaming mercy, 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 mercy. God cover like mercy, 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 mercy. Those who did me dirty, dog, mercy, 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 mercy. Nothing left to say but mercy, mercy, mercy. Woke up this morning screaming mercy, mercy, mercy. God cover mercy, mercy. Those who did me dirty, dog, mercy, mercy.
What's going on? What's going on, my brother? How you be?
I'm all good.
Unmute you. There you go. We all good. I had to mute the backgrounds because sometimes they filter through, even though we are spinning and DJing and all that good stuff.
No, I'll get you. I was back here cheering you on, so I ain't want to interrupt. But yeah,
that's no problem, man. You said mercy, mercy. That's what's up.
Yeah,
so it's good, man. It's good to finally catch up with you. You know, we've been vibing for a few years. I've been seeing your move. And once I did the history Google search on you, I'm like, dang, he's been dropping music like since 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So you got so much music out there. So this is going to be a fun interview, man.
Absolutely. I was waiting on this one, yeah, but I've been dropping for a long time. And then I started seeing the show and you tagged me in a few posts. And I was like, I wonder if you thought that song just dropped or you just went through the archive and picked one out. But I was like, man, once we got to sit down, it was going to be fun. So that's what I'm here for. I'm ready.
That's what's up, man. We ready to go, man. We just thank everybody who's swinging through.
Absolutely.
They're following online, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, not
Yes.
Instagram, but Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. So
Yeah.
we'll be gathering people as they come up in the queue. So,
Okay.
man, let's take it back because we always like to do the background, man. How was the upbringing? How did you come up to even get into this space? Because Christian hip hop in and of itself,
Yeah.
man, it's like we all came a long way to even get here. But how did God get you in that lane, from the youth to now?
Got you. So long story short, I grew up in the church, but rap wasn't my first thing. Inner city youth, basketball was my thing.
Okay.
And two of my partners, they were like rapping. And so one day we were in the back of the church actually hooping and I was winning some games and they were like, man, we don't want to play no more. I was Steph Curry before Steph,
You was cooking them.
I was cooking. And then they were like, hey, one of my bros turned to the other one and said, man, I was working on this verse. And they start going back and forth. And I'm over there dribbling the ball like, man, I didn't even know they rap like that.
Yeah.
And then they thought I rap too. So they was like, kick some for us. And I was like, man, I don't even rap. And they was like, they laughed at me. So I went home. I went and got a tablet. I remember I stopped by the washer and dryer. And I just wrote this terrible verse, B.
Yeah.
It was terrible, but I wanted to fit in. So the next day when they came through, they wanted to play ball. And I was like, hey, I got a verse.
Oh.
And so the verse was trash.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
It was trash, but it kind of developed and birthed a love of music right then and there. And then one of the brothers that was rapping that day is like, he's my god brother.
Okay.
And, the pastor's wife said, hey, we're going to do a youth service. Can you guys do a rap? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote a verse over Diddy and 112. No, Big and 112. Only You.
Okay.
I gave it to her. She was like, great. We did the song. We did the youth event. We did a couple of songs. It was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, she took me to the Christian bookstore. It was called the Lighthouse in Long Beach, from California.
Wow.
If you don't know. And she took me to the Christian section. It was like, pick out whatever you want.
Yeah.
So, of course, at the time, Cross Movement, I think they had just dropped an album.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the House of Representatives.
Okay.
So when I studied that joint, I studied it. That was all I listened to for a long time. And then after that, it was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I started doing music. We bounced back. We did another youth service years later, but now I'm like deep in like sophomore, junior in high school.
Yeah.
It just didn't click. I went to this spot called the Stone Bleachers, and I'm up there. I love Jesus. Can I rap for y'all? And I rap, and they clown me and start singing Stomp, Kirk Franklin.
Oh.
And I walked down the Stone Bleachers like never again. They clown me. I'm gonna make sure that never happens again. So I just really start studying the craft, got into that Black Mamba mode, and I've been rapping Christ the whole way through. Never stepped away from it, never put it down. I just been with it since its inception of trying to figure this thing out to where it is now. So like you said, it's come a long way. I'm just one of the staples in it because I've been doing it over 20 years, repping Jesus.
That's dope, man. That's dope. And sometimes people need to hear that this isn't just an overnight thing.
No.
You got some at least 2 decades in that. And that's the baptism and the fire and the trials and the tests and the storms. Because sometimes people don't analyze that life itself is a blessing because you go through situations and you're able to put it right into the songs, man.
Right
so that's dope.
Yeah. And also, one of the things along the journey, like I was telling somebody before, I was in a group for a short period of time when I would drop my first couple of projects, but it was before Spotify, Instagram. It was still when you had to do hand-to-hand combat, where you were running
absolutely
on the street. And so we used to do a lot of churches, and we were going all across California. And one particular show that we did, it was like 1,500 people. It was a big congregation, one of the mega churches at the time, and the youth pastor at the time wanted us to come out because he was supporting the music.
Okay.
But the church wasn't ready. So they had all these different youth and clergymen in the room. We stepped in with our jerseys and our jeans on. We came out. We used to pray before we would get into the show, like, dear Heavenly Father, touch everybody. And we was like, everybody stand up, the old school, stand up, we about to rock for Jesus type thing.
Yeah.
And everybody that was in clergy told the entire room, sit down. Like, no, sit down. They let us do our thing, but they were like, no. And for 15 minutes, everybody sat in the room like this.
That's wild.
We rocking, sweating, going hoarse, trying to proclaim God, talking to people, and they wasn't with it. And that was like my wake-up call that everybody's not going to rock with you just because you have a staple of Jesus on you. Whether the
Yeah.
music is good or bad, sometimes some artists go into situations thinking you should rock with me just based on what I'm representing. But
Hmm.
you are going to run into, like you said, those trials and tribulations to
Yeah.
people are like, nah, show me what you're really about. Do you really live the life? I don't get
Hmm.
all Christian and rap go together. Gospel and rap don't go together.
Hmm.
This person left a bad taste in their mouth when they
Yep.
gave them a chance. So then when another person comes through with a pure heart to do it, you got to work through those obstacles. So it's not
Yeah.
it's not easy.
See, now you done hit something we need to talk about before we move on,
Okay.
because that is an important part, because this is really what happens for those who are Christian MCs and writing songs. Like, you really do spend time with God. You
Yeah.
sit in God's presence. He gives you a message. You write it. You record it. You get it mixed. You get it like, this
Right.
wasn't just off the whim. Like, oh, I just want to do something to be seen. No, like, if you really had a choice, yeah, you can have fun rapping, but if you really had a choice, you might pick some other avenue in which to teach or to impact people. But
Yes.
this is the gift. This is the gift that was given, and you're supposed to be responsible with it. But
Yes.
it is challenging when you're trying to see how can the current day church, with the generations that they have from, growing up, maybe it was the choir days, maybe it was the
Right.
praise and worship days, and
Right.
although we're bringing something that to us is not new, because
Right.
what, next year rap is going to be 50 years old,
Years
so
old.
no one can be saying like, yo, this joint is so new, what are you bringing this in?
Right.
But
Right.
how was that, when you're battling through those obstacles, and you're called to do it, but the reception doesn't seem to be there? How did God keep motivating you to keep pushing and not quit?
That's a spectacular question, bro, because you have those winning seasons, and then you have those seasons where everybody kind of, when you try to go into different arenas, you lose an audience. And we speak candidly. For me, I'm not your traditional type of Christian rap artist. It's a lot of punchlines and wordplay, and some people just want straight scripture. Even
Yeah.
some people that produced for me before were like, I wouldn't put you in that category because from where I'm from, you're gonna be rapping about Bible stories, and that's it. You're gonna be talking about Jesus and the resurrection, and
Right.
that's it. And so along the way, some of the obstacles I faced was some people would say, "Hey, you Christian or you secular?" Oh, no, I'm gospel. It's all gospel. They listen to a song and be like, "Nah, this not gospel. Are you secular?" And I'm like, "Nah, how you figure?" And it's because of those very reasons. It's like I don't hear any scripture. I don't hear any of those things. As I
Hmm.
got older and doors start opening, I would run into dudes and they would look at me and say, "Oh, cool, this is Christian, but I don't really rock with it," because I would go to secular arenas and
Yeah.
clubs and things like that because I was trying to be at one point
Hmm.
person who was able to make that transition and crossover. So I would do different like showcases. And
Yeah.
one showcase I did, as fate would have it, I believe it was all God. I was in a bar. It was like 15 artists. I was like number 7 on the show, 8 on the show.
Mm.
Everybody's music was good. When I went up, my music didn't play. I had the opportunity at that point to say, all right, man, it's not for me to do it. But I
Yeah.
just did the whole set a cappella, no hook, no nothing. I was younger, so the lungs was good. So I was able to go through it. And the cat from Warner Brothers Records reached out to me and said, "This is real hip hop. We ain't
Hmm.
heard this all night." Pulled me to the side and was like, "You may be on to something." I said, "What
Yeah.
do you mean?" He said, "I've never heard nobody talk about God in their rap." Now, given I heard cross movement and Christ.
Right.
I've been rocking, but he looked at me like I was the first one to do it. And this was
That's right.
prior to the crate coming in. So the obstacles were to keep me going was God would place people across along the journey that would support, that would encourage, that would uplift. When I told you the story a moment ago about the people that wouldn't stand up with us,
Yeah.
when we were coming in carrying our CDs, there was a guy who followed us in from the street. He
Mm.
just saw
Pentecostals coming in looking like rap. So he wanted to see what are these dudes doing going in this church looking like that. Let me see
Yeah.
what's going to happen. When we left, he left out and he pulled me and he said, "Hey man, don't let nobody ever stop you from what you're doing because
That's right.
you just blessed me." And so
Hmm.
when you're surrounded by 1,500 people and it's like, oh man, is this what we should be doing? God sent one more person to just say, "Hey, no, keep doing what you're doing." And
Absolutely.
so those are moments that I remember. I remember going to these festivals where they have no budget and they didn't properly promote, and you just
Yeah.
have to only rap for two people sitting in the dirt because they just
Hmm.
heard some beats.
Yep.
And those are the people who are like, "Can you pray for me? I need help. I
That's
used to
right.
serve, I don't serve." And they would always gravitate to myself, my group, and then now that I'm solo, just gravitating. I'm like, okay, cool. This is what it's for.
Amen.
It's for me to reach and really bless the people.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
That's the right. And that's the thing about it is, I think the catch 22 was they couldn't really see God would use this form
right,
because of the mainstream, right? Mainstream was publicizing,
right.
and depending on what period you were in and compare it to what was going on in mainstream. So when
Yes,
they think of rap, they're thinking of that, and now they
right.
looking at you and they like, these two can't go together.
Yeah,
They probably pull in scripture.
exactly.
Don't be unequally yoked. You're like, wait a second. You said, did you hear my whole verse?
Did you hear the whole verse?
I'm
It's like
talking
no.
about Jesus, man.
Yeah, yeah,
And
I-
that was the battles. But it's like now that we're getting to an older age and we've been in it for 20 plus years, now
yeah.
you're looking at it like, all right, so there is progression happening. You
Absolutely,
know,
absolutely.
churches are starting to understand that this form of communication is probably more popular to the youth and to the middle age than it is, any other genre,
Yeah,
because this is what we've been doing.
exactly. And also you notice even some of the more seasoned like preachers
Yeah.
and they even use some of the worldly sayings from songs in sermons
Oh yeah.
because they gravitate toward it. They
Yep.
listen to it. It's catchy to them, so you get their ear. But now every rapper that says they love God isn't corny. People do
Nah.
still have swag about them. They really got
Hmm.
delivery. The beats are crazy. That used to be the stigma back in
Yep.
the day. Everybody's beats was corny and the concepts was crazy. Now these beats are ridiculous, and you got some real
Absolutely.
MCs who are coming into the gospel that were in secular or were listening to it. That now
Amen.
they have a craft that can carry the genre forward. Before,
Absolutely.
I remember I talked to Warren Campbell one time, and I asked him, I said, "Man, how does a cat like me get on? Like to really get on?" He said,
Yeah.
it has to be 10 of you at one time," is what he told me. He was like, "It has to be 10 people that can knock the door open that are just as good, better,
Yep.
or same lane, because then people pay attention.
Hmm.
Just having being you, you look like, oh, okay, that's cool, but what else you got?" type
Yeah.
person. And it was, I promise you, it seemed like right after that, the Craig came, Trip came, Tadashi came, and
That's
they
dope.
knocked the door open and they never looked back. I said, "Oh, I
Yep.
get what you're saying now. I get it."
Yep. They got to see more, and they
Yeah,
want to make sure that you're just not an anomaly, all by yourself.
yeah, yeah,
One thing I will say though, when I listen to your music and where you grew up, I don't know if you were born in LA or you eventually, because you sound more East Coast if we go according to coastal with lyricism and stuff. So, but of course, everything has changed. It's not like it used to be where it was so defining. And I think I talked with another artist before.
yeah,
We were saying because of the internet now, and you're able to hear everybody,
yeah,
everybody's subcultures in their area just blends.
yeah.
So how did you get to that sound? Did you sound like that when you first started, like this, or where
Yeah.
were you?
So I'm West Coast. I grew up, always born and raised, born in Inglewood, lived in LA till I was about 17 years old, 18 years old.
Gotcha.
But the style is kind of crazy because when I first did my first little couple corny raps, the West Coast was so heavy. Death Row was on top. I used to
Yeah.
love Rough and Dog Pound and Snoop. Just being honest,
Yeah.
not promoting music, but that's what we would listen to. So my first couple of raps was kind of like in that lane, real
Gotcha.
laid back, real, kind of basic.
Funk driven.
Yeah, just we just knocking.
Yeah.
And I heard 4321 by LL Cool J. Changed my whole
Mm-hmm.
career.
Wow.
Changed me. That was the verse that changed my whole life.
Mm.
4321, when I heard all those cats on one song, and I said, wait, the way he ended it, I want to rap like that. And then my voice gradually got deeper and deeper as I got older. And then
Yeah.
for a long period of time, B.I.G. was my favorite artist just based on how we put music together.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you remove that, one of my partners in the group said, man, you sound like Fanatic. He used to say that. I was like, really? And so I went back to it. And I think just subconsciously, just me listening to that music over and over and my
Yeah.
voice started changing and the certain way I said words, it kind of just formed my style. But believe it or not, everybody thinks I'm from the East Coast.
That's
And
why I had to bring it up because I'm like,
yeah,
yo, he's in and out of the lanes, the bars, like the Mercy Mercy joint. I know that somebody probably heard it, like, yo, who that East Coast rapper?
exactly. A few people hit me up like, bro, you in New York? Where you at? I
Where
said,
you at, bro? You from
yeah,
the Bronx? You're like, nah, I'm not from
right
the
now.
Bronx.
I'm from Cali.
That's dope. That's
Yeah.
dope. So you said you grew up in the church. How was those early years for you, the formative years when you were gaining experiences and wisdom, and we know how it catapults you to where you are right now. But how
Yeah.
was that for you? Was it challenging? Was it like in between? Because you said the West Coast, so the West Coast, everyone automatically thinks of gangs, got to think of challenges around you. You know,
Yes.
the Rodney King thing. So it was so many things going on. How was it for you?
Man, so yeah, the gang life was really big. So I lived in this on the street to where it was a gang probably every other block. Like believe it or not, on the corner, every other block. And we were ball players. Like me and my partners, we didn't indulge in it, but
Yeah,
you had to choose which side of the block you wanted to walk home on because you just didn't know.
yeah,
We running to every other block. And somebody like, where you from? Where you stay? Where your uncle from? Where your dad from?
everybody.
Everybody. And so going to church was like an escape for me and my partners as we got older because it was like a break from the norm.
Yeah,
And so God kind of put me in a position where I was kind of leading, and that's when my evangelism started. Because when I would do music or hoop with them, I had to still be at church on Tuesdays for Bible study.
that's right.
Come through and let's go to Bible study. Y'all, it's cool. First lady teach, we cool. We got some games, and the word is cool. And because of my how I carried myself, they gave it a chance and opportunity.
Yeah.
But it was still trying because you still have, like I said, the pressures of gang life, the pressures of
Mhm.
hey, being why you saved and not having sex, that's corny. Why you talk like that? Why
Yeah.
don't you talk the way that we talk? And so I had to make a decision, and I think it was like at 16 I made
Yeah.
a decision. I was like, no matter what it looks like, I'm gonna rap for God. I'm gonna talk for God. I'm gonna live for God. I'm gonna make sure I abstain from anything that looks uh, opposite of what God is doing. So
Yeah.
along the way, there was a lot of isolated moments for me
Yeah.
because I chose not to do it. Basketball was an escape because half the year I was in the gym and playing ball, but that other half,
Gotcha.
it's like I'm still in the thick of things. I still have friends that are dealing with things, but
Yeah.
how do I still hold up the bloodstained banner? So I think that just kind of helped me knowing that some days you will be isolated. I wasn't lonely, but to live
Mm.
this life according to God's will and purpose, word says that you have to live a life that's set apart.
That's
You have
right.
to live a life of holiness. And I think right now, within the genre, in some cases, and also just living a life for myself, is you run into so many people who have now diminished and watered down holiness.
Mm. Mm.
They want that microwave relationship. I'm saved, I can do whatever I want and fall on the grace.
Yeah.
God's grace is there, but I don't want to be the person who perverts it or prostitutes it. To say I'm gonna live however I want to live and fall short. So I developed that at a young age because when I looked at it and said, man, it's only a couple of us who are really rapping for God. And I'm gonna tell you
Mhm.
something crazy, which God let me know this was gonna be the call over my life. When I got to a point where I really could rap a certain way, I used to battle rap. The way I am now.
That's
The
the
first
lane, man. That's the way you learn.
man, the first person I battled, his name was Sin.
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 That's wild.
That was my first battle, my first real battle when it's like, hey man, I'm a big rapper for God. Y'all that booed me a year ago. Who want the smoke?
Did you laugh inside though when he said his name and
I
you
had
said, "What did you say? Sin."
man, I said, oh, he about to get this business.
He needs to, right? That's wild. That
Yeah.
is wild. But that's the real. And the other thing is the transition. So you got to that point where you was focusing in and you're going for God. And the funniest thing I think, because you're relating to a lot of my story, battle rap or high school and stuff like
Right,
that,
right.
is the transition of when high school breaks and now you're an adult. It's like you're catapulted into now making real decisions for Christ.
It's the real world.
Yeah, it's the playtime over. The
Yeah,
front end and the high and all that's over. It's
yeah,
right before you.
yeah. You in the
That's
real world.
real.
Yeah, man. That changed me. Like fresh out of high school, you think you're naive to the fact that you think everybody's again. I got certain pockets of my life. I thought because of the way I was living and doing things, everybody would support. And so going to college, it was the real melting pot because you have all these different religions now that you're dealing with, people's
Wow.
philosophies.
Yeah.
You're now thrown into that. And so for me, that first year of college, I was like, man, ball is over. I was kind of rapping, I would say, kind of like as a hobby at the time. It wasn't like I was in pursuit or
Hmm.
running a project. I would just do shows every now and again when I was asked to do it. And so
Yeah.
now I'm like, well, people knew me to do it. So when I went to college, my name was kind of floating around the county I live in now, the Inland Empire. And so a
Okay.
partner said, hey, man, don't you rap? And there was a whole bunch of people in the quad at college. And my brother, his name is B.E.R.I.D.O.X. He's produced like I want to say 75% of my music to this day.
Wow.
Uh, he had a boom box and he had beats and he said, let's hear some. And I just started going heavy, doing
Yeah.
my thing to the point where security came and thought it was a fight breaking out in the crowd.
There's too much crowding going on.
Too much crowd going on. It's too much aggression. This person is being really loud. And right after that, I was when we were doing the group form because it was like all these people were saying, like, man, you did all that without using profanity.
Hmm.
It's clean. I sound like you said God a few times, and we gathered a following within the college first, and
Wow.
that again reestablished that we could probably do this, and that's when the pursuit of being an actual artist was formed at that point. So that's that kind of was a blessing to go to college, and within the first couple of weeks, God kind of gave me the assignment and said, "Cool, you want to go make it in ball, but I got something else for you to do. You had no idea, but you now are walking in it. Let me really put some water on it and make sure you grow."
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah,
So how did the transition come? Did you finish college? Did you get into the workforce? Like, because this is where people can't really see sometime how you can have a gift and everyone don't do it the same way. Like, we don't just throw everything to the side, just go after the gift. Like, this is
right.
parallel success going on at the same time. So
Yeah,
what was your experiences like?
yeah. So we dropped. I want to say the first album while I was still in my sophomore year in college. It's going
Sophomore.
cool. Sophomore, sophomore, second year in college. Everything's going cool, and then I'm now at a point where I'm a little older. Moms don't pay the bills. I'm paying my own bills. I'm going to school, and I wasn't able to sustain it. So I had to go work jump into the workforce.
Yeah.
As soon as I got my first car, got applied for a job about 50 miles from the house. The
Hmm.
money was good. I said I would get back to school, still pursuing the music. And so working a 9 to 5 kind of took over school for a moment.
Yeah.
And so, because when I was going to school, it was to be in like psychology because I wanted, pastor one day and all those things. So I was in the process of getting that developed, but
Okay.
finally weren't there, right? And so I didn't say, God, you let me down. It was like, okay, let me make sure I do what I need to do so I can get back to it. So that's kind of where it went for me. And so
Okay.
I wasn't able to get back. You say 20 years later, I never went back. Like I
Hmm.
said, 10 albums, career. I still have a great career. So God
Yeah.
still honored me. But I do intend to go back and finish that up just for myself because I did start it and did want to do it. But,
Yeah.
line, life happens and, I made a transition.
That's real. That's real. And the other thing is sometimes we got to really be honest that everyone don't have the same paths.
Right.
Like everyone would assume you have to do the 4 years, you have to then get your master's, you have to then get your PhD, like so many levels of
Yeah.
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 But the thing is, again, God's plan and the way that he picks and selects and directs, when you look back, you're like, you didn't let me suffer for nothing. I didn't lack anything. You kept me.
Yes.
you know.
And I also, to piggyback on that too, along the way, and you'll say our steps are ordered while we were still in our mother's wombs, right?
That's right.
The thing that's crazy about it is when I went to school, I didn't know that I would impact and reach so many people by rapping at
Mm,
school. Because some of those things that we rapped about would then turn into Bible studies, would turn into prayer, would turn into almost like outside outside revivals, to where people would just come through and just sit down. We used to call it like the bubble. It was a certain
yeah.
part of the while we would sit in, and people would just come over and say, "Man, I'm going through this at the house. Can you guys pray?" And
Wow.
so, even though the goal when I went to college wasn't to formulate a group, it wasn't for me to be known for rap and evangelize in that way. It was just to get an education. God
Correct.
still gets glory because in those moments, I was obedient to what He had for me to do. So, a part of the assignment outside of going to class was
Hmm.
to bless these individuals that would come through for prayer or to be, salvation or whatever the case may be. So,
Yeah.
when I look back at those moments, I don't really, and you just bless me because I don't really look at that. I just look at it like, man, met my producer. I
Hmm.
finished school. We formed a group, but when you remove those things, there are people that possibly remember some of those moments that we interceded for them. And it
That's
wasn't
right.
about being Gil Gatsby, this rapper across the world. It was like, man, this dude right here. I remember I was going through and wanted to drink, just whatever, and he
Yep.
spoke to me and helped me get through this trying time. So
Hmm.
that's great. Yeah,
That's the beautiful part. One thing I started learning as I got older, God talks about God moments where He sets things up and you
yeah,
don't necessarily even know that you are in one of His moments and His predetermined, predestined experiences for you and for the other person. So,
yeah,
like when you was just throwing out that example, y'all was just doing what y'all felt y'all was supposed to do in that time, and you
yeah.
don't know who you done stirred up
Right, right.
to, and God doesn't give us all those stories, and I thank God for that, right?
Exactly,
Keep us
exactly.
balanced, man. Keep our heads nice, nice and compact. Cause man, you would be swelled up. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you my
ministered to that one, and he has 10 churches. I ministered to that one. He's a bishop now over in Philippines. You're like,
right,
what are you
right.
talking about, man? You was a vessel,
Just being used.
just being used, man, just being used.
Yeah, yeah,
So how did you then get to the part? Because the reason we walking you through all these different scenarios because it really tells the total story. I
absolutely.
see you got a wedding ring on, so it looks like you're
Yeah,
married.
yeah,
How
yeah.
many years?
16.
16. That's what's up.
So, yeah, celebrated 16 years on September 16th of this year. Yeah, met her along the way as we developed after going through, uh, out of college, 9 to 5 now. The group is
Yeah.
formed. We're going across, the Inland Empire in LA. We're all across California. We were looking for more opportunities to perform. And one day we
Hmm.
were in the mall, and there was a store at the time. It's no longer open called C28,
Okay.
Colossians 28, and it was a Christian store in the mall. And they had a flyer that said, "Hey, we're looking for someone to minister at a camp." And so we didn't know. We saw the address to the church. It was a youth church. We went over there one day, and I tell you, it blessed me because I was looking for an outlet where it was people that looked like me, talk like me, and
Hmm.
was trying to really go hard for God. And it was a whole audience of young people.
Wow.
The the praise team, all youth, ushers, all youth, everybody in attendance, all youth. And I said, man, what is this? How did I not know about this? And so my wife happened to be in one of the groups that they danced. And once I saw her, I said, okay, I'm gonna see what she about. You know? And so I was at 19 at the time. And so then 5 years later, after we really connected and got to talk, we
Yeah.
got, I'm sorry, 23 actually, we connected and got married a year later. So we've been
That's
together
dope.
16 years now. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
dope. Congrats, man. Congrats.
Thank
Because
you.
that's a big component. Because again, what we're saying is God is our first love, which
Yes.
you kind of explained. The second love was music, but now you done found a wife.
I
So
found
now it's like rearranging it again to say, all right, God is first, the wife, now the music. How
right.
how was that balance? Because my wife understands, because I'm just like you, 20
Yes.
plus years doing music,
Yeah.
equipment.
Yeah.
One time she used to tease me. She said, "Your studio it's the most expensive room in the house because this is when you first start. Now you're like, no, it's not. And so you start counting these stuff that you got around you. So how was that? Because she had to really stay balanced, even understanding
Yes,
all of that time writing, all of that time listening to songs, creation,
yes,
mixes.
yes.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. It's not easy because you throw so much time into the music that sometimes, just being honest, they can feel like they're second fiddle or
Yeah.
a mistress to music type thing
Hmm.
because you put so much time effort into it and you're
Yeah.
pursuing to be there. The blessing with me is she does music as well, so she understands and then she sings.
Okay.
Uh, First, I want to say maybe 10 years of it. She would just say when people say, "When you gonna drop yours?" She said, I'm waiting on him because I had a
Yeah.
lot of the momentum already riding on me. And so she just barely dropped her first project during
Okay.
the pandemic. So you say she waited 14 years
Yeah.
before she dropped her first project just to allow me all the time and space and support to do what I wanted to do, even to
That's
this
dope.
day with creating. The crazy
Hmm.
thing about me was because I was, married, I wanted to break down the stigma of artists stay in the studio all night. And
Yeah.
so I've been one. I don't have, like I said, you got the whole setup at the house. Me, I still travel and go to the studio to make it happen. But
Hmm.
started getting to where it's like I book a 2-3 hour session.
Yeah.
Within that time frame, I'm knocking out 4 songs. I'm making sure if it's a freestyle, I don't listen to the beat all day, so I can go in there with an idea of the
Hmm.
cadence. If it's a song that I wrote, I'm making sure that I have it memorized so I can get to it and get it done as quickly as possible, just so that it didn't birth the insecurity in her. Even though we're in
Oh.
the lane of doing, music for God, people
Hmm.
still come through the studio at times, or just that uncertainty of what's going on in the studio because she doesn't always go. Just so that wasn't birthed, and we still had that quality time, and we had that accountability. So that's
Absolutely.
helped her along the way to be supportive as well, because I've always been a person about when I'm in the stool, I'm
Hmm.
serious. Let's get it. Shout out to Full Range, Don Dub, everybody who's recorded me throughout the years, Dave D Beats. I'll make sure that when I step in the studio, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. That's
And
good
so,
stuff. So
yeah,
do y'all have kids too?
no kids, no
No
kids.
kids. Okay. Because I was getting ready to add another layer to you. Because it gets more
Yeah, yeah,
balancing, and because that became my motto, man. I got to be balanced. I got to have a balanced life. But you may not have kids, but now we get ready to shift into another area because you're in ministry too.
yeah,
Outside of music ministry, you do. So what roles do you play right now, or have you played in
yes.
ministry?
So right now I am an associate pastor at Remnant of Life Worship Center. Shout out to the Remnant of Life. Uh,
Shout them out.
if they don't see it now, they'll see it later. And Pastor Gosley. So I've been there, and I've been an associate pastor for about 5 years. So
All
5
right.
years there. I was ordained earlier in my life as a pastor when I first got married at the church where my wife and I attended when we first got married. And so the crazy thing about it is when I started out on this journey of music, my perception and my goal was if I were to get signed, get any type of endorsement, any amount of M's in the bank account, I could
Hmm.
take that money, start a church, so
Yeah.
that when I'm talking about tithes and offering, it's not with any manipulation behind it.
Come
I've
on.
already got it established. I just want to get you to Jesus. I want you to be delivered, walk in your breakthrough, walk in
Yeah.
your healing. It's not about finance.
Yeah.
It didn't happen that way, but along the way, I've seen as I'm developing in this path that God always provides.
Absolutely.
As long as you got your foot on the gas, you're trusting Him to provide for you. God has never, I haven't missed a meal, anything. I can go
Amen.
to church right now, whether they offer a love offering or whatever or not.
Hmm.
I'm going in with the mindset of some people need some breakthrough, and
That's
that's what
right.
I'm here for. And when I started off, I knew I was going to be a pastor before I knew
Hmm.
I would do music.
Amen.
Along the way, God just started putting some things on it. I know I'm gonna be a pastor, but then I start sprouting up in growth. I'm playing ball, then rap comes. Okay, cool. I guess I'm gonna just be a 6'2" preacher. It ain't the tallest, but we're gonna make it happen. And so,
That's right.
but there is challenges because, like you said, it has to be a balance. For
Amen.
me, and I'm pretty sure you're the same. I feel like we're kindred in spirit. Is when I'm locked in, I'm locked in.
Amen.
And So the stress levels come from when you're trying to get a couple of songs done,
Mm-hmm.
and you're also trying to spend that time with God in order to write the sermon because you're preaching a couple of days later.
Yeah.
And dang, do I put the songs down? I don't want to short step on the word of God.
That's
Can I
right.
can I write the sermon while the beat is playing? So it's kind of hard to find that balance so that you're not distracted. And
Amen.
so for me as of late, I've been really saying like, hey, I have to take a step back from producing and making music. And
Yeah.
as soon as I made the decision to really do it, more speaking engagements came into my life. And it was like, God was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Our next album later is going to do what it needs to do. You can do your visuals and your tours later. But right now, I need you to focus on this. So that's just the balance of when to study, when to put the music down,
That's
when
right.
it just fall on your face so you can be prepared for the next level. That's
Mm-hmm.
where I'm trying to find that balance now.
Amen.
Yeah, it's tough.
So what you're touching on too is seasons. Can you talk about seasons? Because what you're breaking down is there may be a season where you're most focused in one area, and then the season change, and
Yes.
you don't force the next season to be the same as the last season. How do you keep that balance as you go through these seasons?
Man, I want to say so. Just to give you a backtrack, I'm gonna take a step back. So once, right after I got ordained as a pastor, that next month, at the end of the month, I had 2 strokes, right? And so
Mm,
I was
mm,
hospitalized for about 6 days.
got
Uh,
you.
and so that kind of put me in a position to where at that point, like I said, I was like feeling like almighty, like I'm
Hmm.
guilty, rap star. I've been on Sway in the morning. I've been
I
over
hear
here.
you.
Name is known. I went to Cheesecake Factory and somebody wanted an autograph. I walked through. I got to that kind of that page, and I truthfully believe that when I had the stroke, God put me in a position to say, "Hey, you got to be doing everything for my glory.
Hmm.
Everything has to be for my glory." They said I would have been dead in 6 days, but I'm here 5 years later with
Praise God.
nothing crazy going on. They said I probably wouldn't be able to walk upstairs. I'm able to walk. They said I
Mm,
wouldn't be able to really clearly speak. I've dropped 5 albums. I've preached numerous times, and it's all
amen.
for God's glory. So in this moment, to answer your question, when it comes to seasons, I'm now at a point to where I'm like, when I see God, I'm
Yeah.
seeking God for clarity on what is this that you need me to accomplish for you, God,
Yeah.
in the season right here. Is it for me to create another project? Is it for me to mentor an artist? Is it for me to just focus in on preaching the word? The
Mm,
flesh part of me is hard for me to put the mic down
hmm.
because it's like, man, all these people coming out with projects, I need to drop something. Or,
Yeah.
man, nobody dropping nothing. The gang needs me, like I need to come back. Cali talking about God did. I need to respond. So you get to these moments, but now it's like the balance for me is music is good. God is going
Yeah.
to be. He doesn't need me to be the hero. He just needs me to submit to His will. And
That's
in
right.
this case right now, I'm saying I can drop an album. I'm pretty sure you can too. You give you a couple weeks, the album will be done.
Yeah.
But I have to say, God, was this what you wanted me to do right now, or
That's
am I
right.
doing it only for me? Let me make sure that I'm focused on you. So the season, for me to determine what the seasons are, it really just takes my discernment, me falling
Mm,
on my face and asking God, and not pouting with what the response is. And that
amen.
response in this moment is, cool, you did it. You got 10 albums done. Who you rapping for now? I need you to focus on the word of God. Time is short. People need the word. I've
Yeah.
given a certain way to deliver the word of God for a demographic that you can reach. I need you
Hmm.
to focus in on that.
Mm, mm. But that's amazing, man. Thank God for His faithfulness, His health, His healing, man, to bring you from where you were to
Yes,
where you are today.
yes,
And that was my challenges of, because that's the thing where you realize that God is using you, and you can see the longevity of the things He's going to do. So you
yes.
have a peripheral of things that you're trying to get to, but then the enemy's throwing imaginations and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I know you go through it because you're a creative. And for
Yes,
those who are watching us who don't understand what a creative mind is, a creative mind creates even when we're trying to sleep. The
facts.
mind is creating. You go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, you try to go back to sleep. Sorry. Mind is creating. So how was that battling through keeping yourself in faith at all times and not the imaginations and the stuff, man? Because we go through, but
We
God
go,
bring us through.
it's a battle, man. Like, sometimes just walking through the store, you just start mumbling because you're thinking of ideas and concepts, or I might even hear a commercial and a line will come up, and I'm sitting there while me and the wifey watching the show, trying to figure out how I can make that line amazing on a beat. And it's like,
You're
man,
thinking of lacing yeah, man, I can put that right there. That right there. You writing the verse as you go.
right as I go, I'm like, okay, Housewives of Atlanta. I'm
He said,
flipping
"What's the punchline? What's the punchline?"
everything. So yeah, so the creative mind is crazy, especially when you add in. For me, like how I want to surprise my wife for an anniversary, or
Wow.
how I'm going to approach my team meeting today, or what's a great breaking story that I can create, or what's something I could put on Facebook to inspire today. So I'm sitting there just kind of shaking, because
Yeah.
you can't turn it off. Or man, I got to teach Bible study. My pastor taught about this, so this is what I want to do to piggyback on that. So it's kind of tough to find a balance. So
Mhm.
I think for you to help with that, outside of getting into the word and spending time with prayer, is finding something that is relaxing to me. Something
Yeah.
I can do that my mind can just relax. I just
Mhm.
found out that I love putting Lego sets together. That's my
Oh,
new.
word.
That's
That's
my
what's
new
up.
move. That's
Okay.
my. That's how I just. That's kind of how I unwind and just break down, putting stuff together. And it doesn't take much. I'm just trying to figure it out, and it
Yeah.
gives my mind a break from everything that goes on. Because for me, that's what heightens the stress. Because I just want to be successful. I don't want to
Mhm.
let anyone down. I don't want to let God down. But God just had to say, "Hey, I'm in control."
That's what's up.
One thing at a time. And so I said, okay, God, you gave me this brain for a reason. Allow me to use it in the way that I'm not going to go crazy and self-destruct trying to get to the glory.
That's the truth. Yeah, man. I've learned how to appreciate quiet time. Like God gave me the idea years ago. Like get up in the morning before the whole house starts.
Yeah,
Have your quiet time, or find your quiet time when it's just
yeah,
you and God. You can
yeah,
pray, you can study, but
right.
sometimes you just need to be quiet and just chill.
That's it. That's it.
Like,
It's a blessing. It's a blessing in that time, because I was just thinking about it today when I was sitting in service. Just like, man, I wonder how often people just sit and communicate with God. Like,
mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure, like I said, sometimes I think people don't even really communicate with God. They don't have that space and time where they just sit down and just have that quiet time and allow God just to minister to them, to
Yep.
find rest in that.
Yep.
It's like some people are uncomfortable with the quiet of the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you hit on something to say, like, man, when you're in that time and that mode with God, it's the time for God to just really reset, love on you,
Yep.
comfort you. And sometimes we talk ourselves out of the rest. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I've been sitting there 15 minutes. I got to get ready for work. I got to do
You
this.
start looking at the checklist. I gotta get to this. I gotta get to that. No, you don't.
No, you don't. God, you need God right now. You need that time with God, and to be a blessing to you, because sometimes it's better to just listen than to speak. We sometimes want to speak and hope God will listen to us. We got
Mm-hmm.
to approach that and just let God speak to us.
It has to be. Has to be reversed. And I'm gonna put it frankly right now because this has been the most rhema word for me lately, is the fact that everything in your life don't have to be perfect today.
Hmm.
We think it does. Oh,
Yeah,
this problem, I gotta work on this problem and it gotta be solved before I go to bed tonight.
yeah.
Why?
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 Hmm.
What what difference does it
Yeah,
make?
yeah, yeah.
Jesus put it plainly in the end of Matthew 6. He was like, man, stop worrying about tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough stuff in it for its
Exactly.
just
Yeah,
relax, man. And it's sometimes, if you do look at social media and you look at it with the skewed vision, everyone look like they live in the best of life.
the best. Nobody has
Like
an off day.
no problems.
Nobody has an off day.
Yeah,
Everybody
they all good.
Everybody, marriage is great. Kids doing great. Ministry doing great.
Everything, man. I'm on top of the world.
Everybody out is platinum touring the world.
And you looking at yourself like, this ain't right. This ain't right. This ain't right. And the Lord like, yo, tap, pull out of that. Turn it off. Get
Right,
back
right.
in my presence. And like you
Yeah,
said, get refueled and get refreshed. And we'll drop this one last nugget for anybody who catch this interview later.
absolutely.
Also have a journal. And the reason why having a journal, like get a phone app that just you can log the thoughts of what God drops on you in those times. Because
Yeah.
when you go back and read it, like I've been practicing, I don't do it every single day. So I don't have 365 entries for last year.
Okay.
I might have 100,
Got you.
but it's valuable to go back and read. What were you thinking October 19th of 2021? What were you going through?
That's key.
And you see, yo, I was going through similar challenges, but then you recognize I'm in 2022 and I'm really in a good space right now.
Mm-hmm.
So the situation wasn't big enough to take me out or destroy me, or
Right.
like that balance is something important, because really we use the written word, the Bible, for that, to
Yes.
see examples of people's lives, how God was in it, brought them through, where was
Yeah.
their start, where was their midpoint. Like we got to document our stuff too, and it can be shared with others to the point that they can then get an understanding.
Yeah.
That's an important thing.
Yeah. That's key. That's key. I like that. I read the other day that someone was saying you should write your own obituary, and as you go through different life challenges,
Mm,
rewrite it because your
mm,
perspective change, your successes change,
yeah.
things added to your life, change in your life. That you write your own, and that
Yep.
always keeps you at a point when you go back and you revisit and you look at it, you say, "Man, my perspective this time was off. I'm not,
Right.
I'm not
Right.
even there anymore." So then you correct it, and it kind of helps you to stay within the confines of, okay, life isn't that bad. I'm
Yep.
doing good. I'm making the impact. Or I'm not making an impact in this area. Let me work on that. Not that you just doing it so people can read this about you when you transition to glory, but it's
Yeah.
like, man, thank you, God, for giving me the opportunity another day to make this thing right, to see
Mm.
where I'm falling short so that I could be a blessing to other people.
Amen. Amen. So if you look at that, because you didn't set this up right there, when you think people, because this is the part where the creative mind allows us to get in this space. We're not trying to sound, all deep and everything, but it's a true thing.
Yeah,
All the years that God has blessed you to lay foundation and ministry, what do you think people are going to be able to pull from it in the future? Because you really think about it, you done threw out, I don't know if it's 10 albums you said, and
yeah,
all these sermons, all these videos online, all these interviews. Like this stuff is going to feed somebody in the future.
man. The biggest thing for me, like I said, with the legacy's done, and if people go back and play the music, the biggest thing I want people to get is that you don't have to live in mediocrity. That
Mm,
God was the one and only true living God, and that you don't have to settle for less based on where you are right now. A lot of my music is like that. Yeah,
mm,
I proclaim I'm a beast and I'm dope, but in between each of one of those lines, it's all because God did it. From the starting album to where I am now, it's always about what God can do, what He's done, how He's performed in my life, and how I'm greater than the world because of what God has done for me. And I think
so,
people pull that from the music and always be motivated to know greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world. And that's been what I've been standing on since day one.
amen. That's some realness right there. There was a question I posted online last week, or I talked about on the show that I have,
Okay.
and I asked the question. Well, I didn't ask the question. I stated that CHH is not just for the youth, and the reason we had to put it out there like that is we're not youth no more.
Right.
Our ages is
Yes.
not a youthful age right now. So, but we're still grinding, and the Lord
Yeah.
still keep giving us things to write about.
Yes.
And you have an interesting background because you look like you were moving in the youthful stages of ministering to youth and all
Yeah.
that and the whole nine through CHH, right? So
Yes.
how does it feel now being the age you are
Yeah.
and you still writing, because think about it. When we were growing up, you used to hear people say, I'm not going to be a 40-year-old rapper. I'm not
Right.
going to be a 30-year-old rapper. I'm not going to be a 50-year-old rapper.
Facts.
Now it's
Yeah.
like, yo, you probably gain more wisdom in those ages than trying to write a whole sermon at 19. Like, how many years you been on this earth? What you know?
That's a fact. That's a fact. I was wondering who was like, man, by 35, I'm done.
They said
By,
I'm done. I'm putting down. And you're like,
it was like 38, I'm done. I was like 40, nah, I'm really done. It's like, but the music just keep coming out. It just keep dropping. It's still relevant. The game has changed. I saw somebody put online the other day, and it kind of spoke to that point, but they made it a joke to say,
mm,
man, CHH need to grow up, needs to grow down. And the person said, "What do you mean?" And they were saying everybody at the show got to be at pushing 40, and they can't breathe when they're doing their material. I
I don't know what they're talking about. First of all, some of the dopest MCs breath control is immaculate, but you're going to hear, yeah, that breath, because they getting ready to hit that next line. They need that breath real quick.
It's come off aggressive. So I say, okay, that's not me, so I'm good. But no, but you're right. The music can't live on forever. You got cats on both sides of the fence. Like some people that like Jay, he's 51, 52, think he dropped the verse of the year. And
that's what they say.
That's what they say. That's what they say. Mercy.
Right.
But I think we're at an age now to where the music is going to live on forever. And with the platforms being the way that they are now, where people can release music, you can release music that's catered toward your audience. So it's not almost like when it was back in the day, you only had what a record label would let be released. So you just had to wait. Now I can do my own videos, I can do my own music, I can do whatever. And we live in a TikTok age where if it's good enough for 15 seconds, a person will give you their ride to you. And so the game just changed for us. But I'm happy to still be in music, happy to still be relevant, because like I said, at the end of the day, God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. So if he gives us the music to bless people, it's gonna do what it needs to do.
That's good, man. That's what's up. So what are you looking forward to coming up? Because you just dropped the project. You're gonna let you talk about that before you jet.
Okay.
But what are you looking forward to next in ministry? Because you might as well say ministry because it's broad. It's not just this lane, that lane. Like what are you looking forward to?
Man, so I look for I'll name this album later. Probably gonna drop about 5 visuals, and then I want to do maybe 2 concerts. I want to connect and maybe do one in the city where I live, or near where I live now. That's gonna be the major one that I want to do. Then maybe one in my old city, or maybe even on the East Coast if I can. So I have a great following on the East. I guess it's because of the way I sound or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
man. They said this boy going in.
So do a couple of shows, then go revisit Sway again with this new project. Those are some big goals for me. But then after that, just take a moment to transition and really zone in on what I need to do to become that pastor that I know God has called me to become. Like, so I haven't been running from it, but I will just say that I think I just sometimes put music ahead of it so much.
Gotcha.
And so now it's like, okay, now it's time to just kind of make a transition. Switch up. The music is going to be there. It's not going nowhere. You just said something that blessed me. It's like, hey, you don't got to do a million streams tomorrow. You good. Let it cry, slow cook it. I'm not trying to go get a deal from somebody tomorrow. I'm putting out trying to bless the people. And the endorsement opportunities are still there. The other opportunities for the placements are still there. But now it needs me to really focus in on the household, making sure the marriage is A1 at all time.
Amen.
Make sure that the ministry is A1 at all times. So that's going to be the main goal for me going into the end of this year and starting 2023.
That's dope. I'm going to tell you something funny because you have to, as an artist and a minister, pay attention to analytics. The analytics are funny, right? I don't know if you ran your analytics yet. If you go to where was I seeing it? I guess through Spotify, they got the backdoor Spotify artists, and you run your analytics. You'll be impressed about the age groups, and that's another factor about youth versus.
I know.
You'd be like, your core audience is ages blank to blank, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
You're like, and even geographics where they are, and that's interesting too. Even the plot and plan and for future concerts and stuff, that would be cool to for you to investigate.
Okay, I'm gonna do that because I say one day I looked it up on an album or 2 ago. I was like, man, I need to go overseas. They looking for me.
Yeah, they got that support.
I talked to Eric Sermon one time, and he said, man, we over here in Germany.
Yeah. And they love boom bap. They love boom bap.
He said, we over here touring. I'll give you a slot. I said, yeah.
I just gotta get there, bro. All this, you know what I'm saying? It's easy for him. Yeah, man, just come out. He's like, yo, this ain't around the corner.
We're gonna do 2 shows, put you on for 2. I'm like, I can't do it.
It's not that easy, but it sounds good.
Right, exactly.
That's dope.
That's dope. So tell the people about your project, man. The current album you released, or any other project that you want to highlight. That because your catalog is so big, I was like, I haven't even gotten my mind wrapped around how much content you have. So, what would you say are number one, the new project, and then number two, some project that they definitely got to listen to if they want to pull out the real Gil Gatsby experience?
Got you. So yeah, I'll name this album later. Simply is what it is. I'm a creative. I woke up middle of the night drinking some iced tea, and I said that's what I'm gonna name the album because I didn't want to come up with anything too
Yeah.
crazy. I wanted people to just focus on the music, and you know they can name the album for me. And I
Okay.
think it's pretty good because at this point I took the moment to say I don't want it to be heavy on the punchlines and the wordplay like it normally is. I wanted to take a step back and make sure that the focus is truly focused on God all the way around.
It's dope.
So far, the album's been doing great online. The reviews have been great, and I've been getting that a lot. Like, yo, you changed, but you didn't really change. But I get it, you know. So
They
definitely got
must they must feel that spiritual level you said you wanted to keep the album on. So now
yeah.
they're like, yeah, I feel that, man. I feel that.
I feel that like you really talking to me, you know.
You
So
talking
and Mercy Mercy has been one of the songs that people hit me up about the most. Like
for
Mercy
real?
Mercy, yeah.
Okay, because that was the one I picked for the show, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and they said we didn't even talk about it, so it was divine. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mercy, Mercy. Everybody hits me up on that one, and a couple other ones. Order My Steps.
Mm-hmm.
King Talk has been getting a lot of great reviews just for the fun aspect
Mm-hmm.
of it. And All I Need, which was
All I need.
surprising. I didn't know that would get a great response, but I get different spot responses and IG inbox. Hey man, this song. So I get a different song every other day. So I said that's a great that it's not just one song out of 14. I get a lot of different ones. But if I
Yeah.
were to say the Fantastic Four in my catalog, I would say what you want to really download and listen to is I'll name this album later. Bar Bully. I think that's
Bar
crazy.
bully. Okay.
Sunday Shoes,
Sunday
and
shoes.
Employee of the Month because that's my most transparent album, and that's the album that I think is really ministering because it's not so much heavy on the Jesus, but it is one that talks to the 9 to 5 grinder who's really trying to live right, who's going
Mm.
after their dreams, and they continue to go through different obstacles to get to it. And toward the end, it's like 2 week notice. I'm gonna give up on all my insecurities, all my failures, and I'm gonna truly trust God. So I
Mm.
think Employee of the Month is one of my first classics, you know, that I
Okay.
dropped. It was different, but that's the Fantastic Four. Some may argue insert title here, but yeah, for me, it would be I'll name this album later: Bar Bully, Sunday Shoes, and Employee of the Month.
All right. Now, what is your favorite song that you wrote that
Come
you
on, come on.
The only reason I have to say that because it's something that always the audience will always miss and skip over. What was the most closest and dearest song to the writer
Uh,
that it could be the beat wasn't what they expected, or
yeah,
it don't have the you know what I mean? Like there's certain songs that just speak to you as an artist, like you say.
yeah.
That is the most transparent I have ever been in a song, and you go back to listen to it yourself to build yourself up.
That's a good one. If I had to pick one, it would be a song I dropped on a project during the pandemic called Gilly Grams, and the
Mm,
song is called Crown. It's the
crown.
outro. Yeah, it's has the sample. I should wear a crown. I
Oh
had
man, that's
so I had
classic.
these moments. Had these moments where I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna live to see 50. I don't know. You know that the devil was playing on my mind. You know, a
Yeah.
creative that was trying to, enter that in. So I'm like, I need to write a song. It's like this is the most transparent. I poured it out all out of music. Hey,
Hmm.
any type song. So that's the song that I go back to periodically and just listen to it, giving God glory that I am still here. I no longer
All
have
right.
fears of checking out prematurely, but I think it's just one of those songs where if you listen to it, the cadence, the way I delivered it, and the bars and that thing, it's heavy.
All right. All right. So he's lacing y'all up with research. It's like
Yeah.
a homework assignment. You're gonna have to go to your Spotify, your Apple Music, your app, Amazon Music, your iTunes, whatever
I heart.
form of yeah, all of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
YouTube. You can
Yeah.
pull it up, man. And
Yeah.
but we forgot to ask. Well, I forgot to ask the most important question.
Okay.
your real name isn't Gil Gatsby. So where did you get the name? And
I,
you gotta touch it.
I got you. I give it to you. So when I first started doing it, my name was Gilligan. Gilligan
Okay.
Gatsby was the name, or Gilligan was just the name. And for those who know you, or you may not know, Gilligan was a character on a TV show.
You got to go there for them.
He was a character on a TV show. They were on a cruise ship, and him and like, I think it was 6 other people. They went and they
3-hour tour.
they go on a 3 hour tour. Storm came and they got shipwrecked on the island. There were nobody there. They were there for years, and they
Mm-hmm.
had to survive. There was a movie that released one day on TBS. I was homesick from school, saw the movie, and on this particular movie, they got off the island and they were able to get home.
Oh, you
And so
saw that episode?
I saw that.
I've never
I
seen
saw it.
that episode.
So they went home, and it was in color. It was in
Okay.
color, and so they went back to where they were prior to getting shipwrecked. And when they
Mm-hmm.
went back, everything had changed. Language had changed. The music had changed. The way women dressed had changed.
Mm.
Businesses changed and everything. So
Yeah.
they no longer felt that they fit in. So Gilligan and all the rest of the characters, they went back and they purposely went back and got shipwrecked on the island because they no longer fit in to the world as they knew it. And so that's where the name came from, to say, hey man, I don't rap like y'all, talk like y'all, listen to what you listen to. I'd rather be stranded on the island with God doing what I'm supposed to do for him than to try and fit in with y'all. The Gatsby came from me just rapping one day, and I said something. So I'm taking trash to the corner like Sanford and Son. They call me great. Where you think they got Gatsby from? And I said, man, we'll be the first rapper with a first and last name, Gilligan Gatsby. So it ran its course up until I met Sway, and I did a viral freestyle on Sway, and he couldn't say Gilligan. He kept speaking so fast. He just started saying Gil Gatsby, ladies and gentlemen. So when I got back home, he was like, everybody was saying, man, I've been looking for you for months because Sway called you Gil, not Gilligan. So I said, you know what? Big up to Sway for changing my name,
Cut
cut
it short.
everything off, and became Gil Gatsby.
That's dope. That's dope. That's amazing how names can be formed. And even in the impression of you not even having super biblical name to it as an
Right.
MC, you're like, yo, this is what God gave me. This is what I'm rocking out with. And
Yeah.
people dig it, man. That's dope, man.
Yeah.
Congrats. Let people know where they can find you online if they want to vibe with you, follow you. You can run through your media sites.
Absolutely. If you are on Twitter or Instagram, I don't know if people still use Twitter like that, but Instagram primarily, Gil Gatsby, GILGATSBY. Facebook, if you're on Facebook, you can look me up under my actual name, which is Patrick White, PATRICK, White like the color. And you can tap in. I post music, I post sermons and things on the Facebook page. But primarily that's where we are. And then YouTube, you can find all the entire catalog, all the videos, interviews, viral moments that God has allowed me to have by going to YouTube and simply just typing in Gil Gatsby.
That's what's up. So, man, we thank everybody for checking us out. This was the artist interview on the Christ Revolution Music Radio Show. I'm your boy B.E.R.I.D.O.X. You had a chance to hang out with Gil Gatsby. If you're just catching this and you're catching the clip of it, hit rewind, replay it, and there's lots of nuggets that we threw in there. And we just giving God the glory, man. If you don't know Jesus as Lord, yo, this is a perfect opportunity to get to know him. Romans chapter 10, verses 9 and 10 presents that. John 3:16 presents that. And what mostly presents it is that he has given you life, and you're right now sitting here talking and viewing and hearing us. Like, that's God's gift, his love for you, So definitely, man, make that decision to give your life over to Christ today. Amen. So, man, we thank y'all for hanging out with us, man. We're going to peace out. Gil, hang on. Don't go nowhere. Sure. We're going to shut this down. But thank y'all for watching the show. Peace.